So this is my 3.3 liter H6 swap Subaru WRX STI with a nice big precision 7675 in that engine bay. Now last time we went through, we got a lot of the small stuff knocked out on this car and we started fabricating out the intercooler piping. We're gonna keep going on a lot of the fabrication stuff today. We're gonna start making our 3.5 inch downpipe to come out of our fender. Now I know that fender's cut, I have replacement fenders coming, so we're not gonna do the full downpipe today, but we're gonna do the vast majority of it. On top of that, we are going to get the hot and the cold side at least figured out for how they're going to route, tacked up, and hopefully fully welded out today. I should be able to get that done. It's about noon right now. I've got about 12 hours. I got till midnight, so I got about 12 hours to keep going on this thing. So let me show you the material that I have. I ordered some. I found some in my spare material bin down there. I think I've got enough to get us going to where we need to be. I've gone ahead and I ordered some material. We've got our 3.5 inch teardrop that's going to come out of our fender. We've got HD clamp, HD clamp, HD clamp, 3-inch aluminum straight. We've got some 45 and 90s for steel, some random old aluminum that I had sitting around, aluminum 90, 3-inch aluminum 90, 3.5 inch, 3.5 inch, 3.5 inch. Over here, I've got a plethora of 3.5 inch pie cuts. I don't know why I have that many, I just have that many. I've got a little bit of 3-inch pie cuts, which that should be good for what we're doing. We need to make more. I do have that straight piece right there, and I did bring that chop saw over. Got a couple of these 3.5 inch pie cuts for the downpipe. So I've got what I feel like is a good selection of material. I've got the O2 sensor bungs and the the blow-off valve flange, so that way we can weld that on. So we got a lot of stuff to figure out today. On top of that, I did get the accessory belt figured out on this car. As you guys can see, it does run off of the 4-rib portion of the back of the pulley, and then it runs up underneath of our tensioner right there up to our alternator. Because this car uses electric power steering now, there's no longer a need for a power steering pump or anything like that, so it just makes our life that much easier. So let's start things out today. Let's get this bumper ripped off and start figuring out intercooler piping. I think we're gonna keep going on this 3.5 inch over here, get it to about here, get the other HD clamp welded on, and then do an intercooler pipe support bracket going from the piping to hopefully somewhere on the frame rail. Okay, well that pipe fell off, but I've already got that one marked, so I'm not worried about it. But you guys will see these little black Sharpie marks. That's how I align to know where to tack these all together. So we're gonna get this piece tacked up, bring it back over to the car, test fit it, make sure it fits. If it fits, we'll fully weld it. If it doesn't fit, we gotta cut the tacks and redo it. But I think this will work for what we're doing. So far, this is kind of what we're looking at. So we've got our piece that we made last time that comes out. It'll wrap down this way, wrap down behind the headlight, and I'm gonna do one more pie cut down here just to kind of angle it towards this intercooler piping here. So we just gotta make one pipe that'll have a V-band connection from there going down to here. So it'll, I mean, I can reach the V-band from up top too. So if I need to, I'll be able to get my hands down in here to service it. So we'll have V-band, or not V-band, HD clamp, HD clamp, HD clamp. On this side, we'll just have one HD clamp, and then HD clamp going to the turbo. But I gotta cut the frame for the turbo a little bit, but sick. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna go ahead and fully weld this up. I know my welds don't look perfect, you guys. Like I said, I'm still fully learning. There's a lot of start and stops that go through these because I have to rotate the pipe a lot for me to be able to fully weld them. But you know, it's all, I'm not gonna get any better if I don't practice and if I don't learn. So let's go through here. I'm gonna clean up this pipe. I have two options. I could give it like a brushed aluminum look with some Scotch-Brite, put it on a wheel and do it like that and give it like a nice brush look, or we could paint it. I'm not entirely sure. I'll decide tonight, but sick. Let me, and the hood still closes too. That's the other big important thing. The hood still does close. So I've got this big piece welded out. I still need to add an IAT sensor and a blow-off valve flange on there. And I'm starting to figure out things that work and what don't work for me when it comes to welding. I have been making a mistake the entire time. I'm still gonna use this pipe because I already made it and it's material and it's time spent, but started to figure out what I'm doing wrong in some aspects. There's some areas where the filler rod is just way higher and I've been adding way too much of this. I found a good heat setting. I found a good pedal pressure that works for me to oscillate, to be able to keep heat down and be able to keep my puddle going, but I just need to dab. I just need to touch it into the puddle and that's it. I don't need to be shoving filler rod in there like I've been doing. But you know, it's good practice. So if I feel like I'm getting better at welding, I can remake this pipe. I can do a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not gonna be able to get to that point without practicing, but it does fit. I'm pretty happy with this so far. This is kind of how it'll go. It will sit up a little bit higher to be able to close that gap between those two HD clamps. So it'll come out, wrap around, come down here, and then go down towards the front mount. The blow-off valve will go right here. IAT sensor will go up here. But you know, for my first time building something, I'm pretty like building something from scratch like I am now, because all the other stuff in the past I've always modified. So this is my first piece of intercooler piping I've made from scratch. I'm pretty happy with it. But I need to take a break from welding aluminum for a little while. I'm gonna jump over to some steel and start doing the downpipe here. But before we do that, I need to pull the turbo out, notch the frame a little bit down there. I'm gonna cut off these two studs here that were for the stock intake box, just to make a little bit more room of getting the turbo in and out a little bit easier. But we're gonna modify our frame rail down there a little bit. First things first, grab Big Bertha here. Big Bertha, you're coming out with me. Put a blanket over the engine to try to protect it a little bit. Hitting just a little bit, just gotta go a little bit farther. Make sure that our frame don't rust. So now that we've got the turbo in the actual vicinity that it's gonna be living and actually seated, we're gonna go ahead and start building the downpipe. So I've already got the V-band back here and I've got a 90-degree off of it. We're just gonna tack weld these two together. Steel, I love doing steel compared to aluminum, man. I can do steel way better. I'm gonna say that now and watch my burn right through that thing or something, but sick. Let me go ahead and tack this thing up and we can start putting our downpipe together. The downpipe pretty much made up. I added the O2 sensor bung for our wideband so that way the car can see what AFRs are doing. We have a 90 that comes off and then it comes out to here. Now I stopped here and I did run into one issue. I started to get a little bit of sugaring on the last pie cut that I did because I don't have a way to like actually back purge, if that makes sense. So you guys can see a little bit of sugaring there. I tried a couple things to try to block this off, but everything I kept putting on there kept melting. I was doing tape, plastic caps. I need to just buy an actual back purging setup. Everything else from that pie cut back is fully back purged and it is welded on the inside. It's just, and it's only half of this one. It's only like this side of it because that's where the thin side of the pie cut was. On the other side, you guys can't see it. Oh, you can see it. It welded the inside, so there's no sugaring on that side. Only on this side, which is, you know, it's whatever. It'll be fine. It's gonna go out the back if it ever falls off. So that's about as far as I can get on the downpipe. without having an actual fender here to be able to locate, I was able to get this thing up and away from the tire a little bit more. I am kind of debating putting maybe an exhaust hanger or something. I don't know. I gotta clean up all these bends and hammering that I did before. But so we have enough of a downpipe to be able to start the car when the time comes, hopefully in the next video. So now we're gonna jump back over to some intercooler piping. Need to add one more pie cut to this guy and then the HD clamp. And then once that's done, we're just gonna have to do an intercooler pipe from the core up to that piping, and then from this side of the intercooler up to the turbo, which is right down there, which shouldn't be too bad. So I'm gonna grab one pie cut, kind of mark it out where I'm going on this guy, grab the HD clamp, get those guys welded up, and then I actually may jump over to the turbo side. We'll see. Pie cuts. I kind of think I'll do that guy, and then I have this guy on here. Like, where did I put the mark? Right there, like that. Okay, one intercooler pipe is made. We got Vangeon clamps on both sides. Now I need to get the blow-off valve flange welded on to the intercooler pipe. So I gotta make a real big hole in this pipe, then weld that flange on. These flanges always kick my aluminum in general, always kicks my ass, but I'm starting to figure it out a little bit more. I feel like my aluminum welds are starting to get a little bit better on that. Let me pull this pipe back off again, drill a big hole in it, weld this guy to it. Then we can have a blow-off valve on our piping. I'm trying to get this pipe done so that way I can bring it home with me and paint it tonight, so that way I can bring it back tomorrow, so that way it's good to just stay on the car. There's just like the fabrication stuff just takes so much more time than I ever planned for. We're almost done with this pipe, I should say. So we've got this pipe in. I have it mocked up of where I want it to go. We are going to make one little support bracket that's going to go from this guy here up to here. I'll put a riv nut in that so that way we can just tighten it down. We have our blow-off valve flange on there, and then down here we have our HD clamp right there. So almost done with this pipe. I'm trying to get this done because tomorrow morning, Dustin, the fabricator who helped us modify the up pipe, is going to help me do these intercooler pipes down here, so that way all of the piping is at least done, and that way so I can get it all coated and painted and just put the intercooler piping behind us. I do have to buy, I thought I had one, a 1/8 or a PT bung for the IAT sensor, but that's not a big deal. So with the help of a little bit of CAD from Cardboard Aided Design, I made a bracket. So I need to form this to the pipe. I need to drill a hole in it. I need to obviously trace out and finish cutting around it. So I'm gonna grab my flap disc and let's get to town, and then we can weld that thing to our intercooler piping as a support bracket. Look at that, you guys. So I'm nearing the end of what I can do today because I am wiped, but we got the downpipe pretty much done. The only thing left to do on the downpipe is just the tip, and that's going to be dependent on where our fender is. Just don't know quite yet, so we'll do that later. Intercooler piping, this pipe is done with the exception of the IAT sensor bung, which I need to weld in, which I don't have, so I need to get one ordered. But we have HD clamp right here coming down and around. I built a bracket this time to hold the intercooler piping in place. For some reason, this is 6061 aluminum. Did not want to weld to this. Don't know why. Just did not want to. Coming out, we got our blow-off valve right here mocked up. Coming down into the fender, you guys can see where the HD clamp terminates there, and then that's where the other pipe from the intercooler core will meet up to this piece of intercooler piping. So that is friggin' sick, dude. We're almost done. The only things left that are stopping this car from starting now are finish the intercooler piping, which is super easy, and add an IAT bung. We've got O2 in the downpipe right now. Finish that intercooler piping and swap the ID 1300s, which I am still waiting to come in, or swap the ID 2600s for 1300s temporarily for engine break-in, and we're good to go. I also did find one more gasket. It'll be here on Tuesday, so sick, dude. I forgot how long fabricating things by myself takes. But I feel like I made really good progress. That one intercooler pipe, which took me so long because it's such a long, it's the majority of the intercooler piping is that one pipe right there. And adding the blow-off valve, flange, adding the Vangent clamps, adding the bracket, just to make it that much more secure. Because last time I had a problem with this intercooler piping, or this intercooler pipe specifically continuing to pop off. So that's why I added this bracket right here to actually like hold it down to the frame. So I'll probably put like a bushing in there or something so that way it can absorb some of the vibration. So tomorrow morning we're going to come back here. Dustin is going to meet us here for the STI. He's going to help us knock out the last 2 intercooler pipes that we have to do. And then once those are done, we should be, I have all the material here, so once those are done, we should be solid. So good morning and salutations. It is the next morning. I've been over here a couple hours just knocking out some of the small things, making a list of what I need to order, cleaning up the shop, and then we've also had Fab and Dad, Dustin over at Fab and Dad come over, and he's helping us with the last of the intercooler piping. So we've got this piece tacked up and made going from the core up to the other pipe. I could probably struggle very hard through it, but connecting 2 pipes hard mounted like that with the HD clamps and everything, I would hardcore struggle with it. So he's coming over to help us. He has the 3-inch pipe now that he's doing from the core up to the turbo up there. So last night I had to order some 1-inch tube. This is our turbo support bracket, and it's also the drain for the turbo. So we still have to make that. Once that tube comes in, we can make that. It's just 1-inch stainless steel. So that way we can weld it to this guy and actually make the turbo support bracket. Like I said, Dustin came through, he made this pipe for us, so way better than I would have been able to do. Like, I don't mind being able to like do this, but it makes my stuff look like poop. My stuff, I mean, this is kind of poop, but you know, I'm still proud of it regardless of the fact. It's how I learned. Interior a little bit, because there's some stuff that I can start putting back in. Other stuff I'm gonna have to wait on, like this area is gonna have to be one of the last things to get done. But for the most part, I can do that side, reassemble that back rear area, and potentially get the back seat back in permanently. Intercooler piping is done. Dustin came over and absolutely killed it on this stuff. So we have HD clamp coming up, goes up and over the wastegates here, up to our turbo there. On the other side of the intercooler, we've got this piece here that's gonna go up, or it goes up to this HD clamp and then goes up to the manifold. Okay, I'm very proud of that pipe that I made right there, but I've decided we're just gonna cut it off right here, put an HD clamp here, and I'm gonna have Dustin remake this section. Don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of this, okay? I did this. This is my first intercooler pipe I made by hand. I have a lot of just love put into this pipe, but I want it to look good like the rest of those ones do. So I'm gonna order material tonight and Dustin will do it for us next week, but for a first start, this will get the car started at least for now. But dude, super pumped with this. Like, dude, that looks so good. So intercooler piping is now knocked off our checklist. Like I said, we'll redo that pipe, but intercooler piping right now is done to be able to drive the car and everything like that. While he was doing that, I was practicing my aluminum welding back here. I think I'm getting better. I don't think I'm to the point where I can do this consistency every single. My best aluminum weld I think I've done right, and I changed my frequency a little bit and I was able to get that, so super pumped with that. So while I was here, I made a list of everything I could think of that we need for the car to get it running and driving. Just little stuff, vacuum fittings, lines, AN fittings, that kind of stuff. So I got my list. I'm gonna get all that ordered today, so that way we can get Blue back out running and driving again, because I don't want to have to wait for little stuff later once the big stuff is all done. So big stuff has been knocked out on our checklist. We got pretty much all the fab done in this video. I need to take off a lot of it so that way I can paint it and do all that fun stuff with it and get it done. I actually don't know if I'm gonna paint it, because after seeing Dustin's fab work on all this intercooler piping with that front pipe matching, I think it'll just be. I got for you guys. If you like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!